Hey, reviews, this is Typo82. Right now, I'm gonna give it something here when I'm going into different. Right now, I'm gonna give my favorite is action movies. Since that the action movies when I'm going to talking about it Marvel Comics into Marvel movies, I'm gonna give my personal favorites is when I saw this theaters and until when I got a Blu-ray. Tom Jane and John Travolta in 2004 was released The Punisher. Now I like this cover. Here is this skull, and it looks like a Punisher, a skull with the teeth longer. Now this isn't one exactly. I'm gonna give him my personal reviews of this the Punisher. It is very good movie since in 2004. Well, right now it's almost 9 or 10 years almost before it was a New Year's Eve come out. Now, before I begin a review, let me clear since Marvel Comics did it like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Incredible Hulk, X-Men, all the kind of things, and I really like the Marvel movies since that the one is like. And now you have the Punisher. Now, before I begin this review, I want to clearly, the original movie was, I can't remember exactly what year, is, if you're familiar, this is the original movie, The Punisher, the guy, an actor, no, the names was Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren, the guy of, when he did to Rocky 4, plays the character called Ivan Drago. And also what he did to plays He-Man from the motion picture called Masters on the Universe. Well, that was very clearly if he plays the Punisher. I never saw that theater, or I never saw that a long time before it was what happened that I know. Maybe it's in 1980s or 70s. I have no clue what it's supposed to be. Dolph Lundgren is amazing when he did to Ivan Drago, and what of course He-Man in Masters in Universe. I saw in a theater. I saw in a theaters a long time ago, and now I gotta figure it out. I'm doing it with that review since then, and he was amazing, the Punisher. I didn't see it the whole thing. Anyway, let's talk about here. Tom Jane as the Punisher, the character called Frank Castle. John Travolta as the character called Howard Stane. Well, John Travolta, I have no problem with him when he did to since in his movies I saw what he did to Get Shorty, Be Cool. The TV shows what he did to Welcome Back Kotter, or he produced in the movies himself a long time about what he did Grease, and what he did to Carrie from the base of Stephen King. I can't remember exactly, but I do remember what he did is acting. So now let's talk about here the Punisher. Now, this cover here is face to face between the good and evil. For example, now it's a Spanish titles, but you can see this on a bit. I can't read the translate and understands, but it's the same movie. I got this on Blu-ray, but it's also that came out in an international. They have it here in the same states, but they don't have a tons of languages. But I live in international, but now I realize I got here it's the same. But when I got here, they didn't have tons of languages in this Blu-ray. But in the DVD, they don't have it. So at least there's English version. But now you have here, it's the same. So you have just like the whole thing. So now you have a discover here. It means right from the skull, it says, no, there's no justice, just vengeance. Well, you have it there. It's just, that's Frank Castle's revenge, because the comics, what he did is like, all these mafia's corruption, and it's trying to kill with his own family, Frank Castle, and now he's the only one to survive, and that was what happened, because Frank Castle, he was an agent, or the soldiers. this basically is exactly in the movie. This is released 2004. That sense in the beginning, what this movie is all about. So Frank Castle is the only one that survived, and then Gibson has the revenge to Howard Stang, and then the rest of the mafias. That was as the movies is all about until at the end of the movie. Dude, I really like this movie. It was a very good movie. But now I saw that there's a sequel called A Punisher Warzone. That's another story. It was a sequel, or it's another start over, and was after this was the 2008. That's another story. Was after 2004. I like the both versions of the 2004 and the 2008, but that's a different actors. So I'm gonna give it. I'll do that the review in 2008 sometimes in Punisher Warzone. Now let's talk about here in the Punisher in this 2004 on Blu-ray. This cover is amazing and cover like Good and Evil. Now looking on this back, and I know there's a Spanish. You can read this. Now it was based on Marvel. It's also they came on Columbia Pictures, Sony, and Lionsgate. Lionsgate was released. At least and there's a part. Now I'm gonna give some who's after this credits. Thomas Jane is the Punisher, Frank Castle. John Travolta is Howard Stane. Roy Schneider, the guy, this the character who he is. I can't remember exactly. And the rest of them, Will Patton, Laura Harding, and Ben Foster. My hands are shaking. Hold on, let me get that clear. And of course, Rebecca Romaine Jane Stamos, the woman she brought us, she plays Mystique from the X-Men series. Yeah, it was. I remember I saw that in X-Men movies when she did it. She did amazing she played Mystique in the three films since 2000 until 2006 in X-Men trilogy. This isn't the original films, but not the prequels. But it might she will come back in X-Men Days of the Future. So, it might she will come back or not. Well, and you have it there, so that's the cast of The Punisher. It was directed Jonathan Shoslane. Jonathan Hunts. His length, or his is a guy the name in the director. I think he was directing very well. And at least he's executive producer. It was Stan Lee. Yeah, I believe it was there. So this is the one Stan Lee was there. And let me get the clear. Like maybe that's from Marvel Comics. Yeah, it was based on the Marvel Comics. And the scenes while you have it there. So that's basically, if you saw this movie or not, go check it out. And this woman right here, what's the name of the woman and address in this? That's Frank Castle's wife. Maria is a name that the character. I think his name was actress. His name was Samantha Mathis. I believe she was in this movie. And if you're not too familiar, this address, her address, what she did to a Super Mario Brothers movie, Princess Daisy. Oh man, what a coincidence! And this scene is amazing. I really like the cast, what they did, amazing. The Punisher movie. This is Rebecca Dormis. Yeah, but what is the name of it again? Rebecca Romaine Dormis. It's her, the one in she plays Joan. the roommates with the other two guys with the roommate of Frank Castle. After Frank Castle just got moved and when he was survived in this movie was his whole family was killed by Howard Stang, John Travolta. He did an amazing job because Frank Castle he was a FBI or something like that because trying to kill the corruption stuff like that and then these gunshot. He has Howard Stang has two sons, the twin sons. That was an epic movie or a spectacular movie. In this part, you have it here. It was amazing. So now you have it there. So that's yeah. As you can see, there's a lot of it. If you saw this movie or not, I really like the both scenes. In between it was after Frank Castle. He was trying to stop the. How are you gonna do that? How stop the Howard Stang business? There's another thing I really liked. The Italian music. I can't remember it exactly. It's like Thanksgiving or it's not, but it's there's some scene I really like. It's a being Frank Castle versus the Russian. The Russian, you know, the big guy, the muscle, the you know that was Howard Stang idea, the character wanting to call it and then try to kill the Frank Castle. If he's Frank Castle still alive, yeah, he might be. He says no hospital, no police. Good one. He only does he wanted in this character in this movie. So now it's going to continuously until in the end of the movie, almost the one is like trying to kill the characters between. I mean, like almost the one that puts on the champagne and with a grenade and it puts in the wires activated and it blows up. That was a good trick. And now that there's action scenes, is my favorite shooting scenes, and it was almost like a graphic violent. It was almost like epic. It's also a graphic violent. Now, in the ending is almost, and all the mafias was killing by the grenade Frank Castle. The gunshots is amazing in parts, and now it's there. Now then, in the end of the movie, between Castle and Stang, like a cowboy scene, like the Western movie. If you're not familiar, like Cliff Eastwood version. Sorry, I lost one in my throat. Like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like the Western scene. It's almost good shot. That was a good shot release. At least it was perfect movie. What this one is all about. So that's why Frank Castle and Howard Stang, who's win the battle. Like who's gonna win? So Frank Castle's the win. He won not just justice, but he's revenge. It's almost like a graphic violent, some little nudie would cut some of them down, but you didn't see it in the theatricals. But here you had a narrow Blu-ray, so at least and it did it very well. So that's why it's almost like it's my favorite part. You didn't see it on a burn him up and how it's staying when he's grabbing the rope and him and his. I want to see the symbol what it looks like in this a skull. It looks like an evil, but it's not. But it's like a pocket and it's my favorite. And the rest of them, well, you have it there. So that's the Punisher. What this is all about. All right then. So that's what I did exactly. This is my most Marvel heroes or Marvel comics and Marvel movies. At least there's Stan Lee was on it in this executive producer. It might say, okay, so I want to see the Punisher's movie, what is this all about? Originally, I never saw Dolph Lundgren version. I saw this movie in this 2004. It was amazing. Now, 2008 version, it was a sequel, or it's not sequel, or it's a continuously. But the different actors is way different in New York City. But here, in this 2004, this location is from Tampa in Florida, I believe, and then there's no New York before it was that. So that's one of those to it. Now that this movie is like The Punisher, I would give it 10 out of 10 a movie. 10 out of 10. Believe me. It was like this. 2 thumbs up, double double. So that's what the Punisher in the movies is all about. So that's the words to it. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like my reviews of this Punisher movie. I'll do that when the Punisher Warzone. So when I got someday, I'll promise you that when I go to see this like this. So I've been asking myself, if you saw the Punisher movie in the theaters, yes I did. So now I got a Blu-ray. Alright then, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like my personal favorites and in this review of the Punisher. So go comment and what do you guys think about the Punisher. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope my reviews, it's more coming out. So see you soon guys.